The title of this book is Truth or Tradition. It is written by our beloved brother Dikio. We are now in chapter 11. The title of chapter 11 is Present Your Body. Present Your Body. While Jesus was a living sacrifice, he was able to say, I came down from heaven not to do my own will, but the will of him that sent me. And that's all he did. Even in Gethsemane, where he pleaded with the Father, if it be possible, let this cup on Calvary's cross pass from me. He was able to say, nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done. In order to prove and demonstrate the Father's will, not only did he deny what would have been pleasurable to his flesh, he literally laid down his life and endured the cross. To his disciple, he said, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself. And God, nevertheless, not my will, take up his cross daily, but thine be done, and follow me. The practice of anything that is condemned by God and therefore obviously not authorized by him, especially when it involves those traditions that are rooted in the world, cannot possibly demonstrate the good and acceptable and perfect will of God. It is our flesh that delights in the pleasurable religious tradition of the Christ Mass, the Spirit Festival, and other worldly religious rites. We understand the truth of those pleasures, but we also understand that it is for that very reason Jesus said, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself, which means not my will be done. It is undeniable that there is much pleasure in the world celebration of the Saturnalia, the birth of the sun god, and the spring festival of the feast of Easter. Indeed, the Apostle Paul identified one of the symptoms of the spiritual decline of the end time when he said, they will be lover of pleasure more than lover of God, having a form of godliness, from such turn away. It is this denial of worldly pleasure that constitutes, at least in part, presenting our body a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto God, which Paul says is our reasonable service. After saying, present your body, Paul tells us, be not conformed to this world. Perhaps the greatest temptation and the most natural things for us to do is to be conformed to the tradition and custom of our society. After all, who want to endure the stigma of non-conformity or being an old ball? The problem of Noah's day consisted in the marriage between the sons of God and the daughter of men, which translates for our day into the marriage of the church with the world. Nowhere is this more obvious than it is in our holiday tradition and Christians' increasing participation. This conformity to the world precipitates God's judgment by water, and as Jesus predicted, it will also precede the judgment that will mark the end of this present age. No wonder Paul exhorted us, come out from among them and be separate, and touch not the unclean things. Later in the Revelation, as the world system crumbled, John reports, and I hear another voice from heaven saying, Come out of here, my people, that ye be not partaker of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plague. It is obvious that some of God's people will persist in participating in the world's religious system with its trapping and tradition, but we should not be among them. God is gracious. He pleads with his people until the end. But why does he have to? We have been called to separation since the beginning of this age. Different verse used in this chapter. Romans chapter 12 verse 1 to 2. Hebrews chapter 10 verse 4 to 5. Luke chapter 9 verse 23. 2 Timothy chapter 3 verse 4 to 5. 2 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 17. Revelation chapter 18 verse 4. End of chapter 11. End of chapter 11 of this book. Chapter 12. The title of this book is Truth or Tradition. We are now in chapter 12. The renewing of your mind. Chapter 12. The renewing of your mind. Be transformed, Paul writes, by the renewing of your mind. Here is where and how the transformation must occur in our mind. They must be renewed. I Like You was a product of our society. I tell you a little of my boyhood. I was born in Seattle, Washington, to a godly, old-fashioned mother who loved God and me and who dedicated her life to her children. When I was born, my teeny mind was a blank table waiting for someone to write upon it, and whatever will be writing by whomever will determine what I thought and consequently how I will act. As a man thinketh in his heart, the scriptures say, so is he. Many things will contribute to my personal culture. Many forces will shape my mind, conforming me more or less to those factors. Tradition, education, religion, music, etc. All will contribute to molding my mind. Some of them will be biblically based on some, and some will not. Some will even be based on accepted organism. But I will not discern those things. I will accept them because they were acceptable. Those that gave me the most benefit or the most pleasure will be the most deeply entrenched, regardless of whether they were sound or not, and if they were properly authorized by God, whether in fact they were or not, they will become most deeply entrenched in my code of acceptable conduct. Something will seem to me to be good. Some will seem evil. Therefore, by the time I was growing, I will have a good and evil value system in place. Some of it will be biblically based, some of it traditional, but nonetheless, it will be many moral value system. I will be decide this is good, so I should do it. This is evil, so I should not. Unfortunately, it was the knowledge of good and evil that was at the root of this sin problem in the Garden of Eden. Doing what we perceive to be good rather than what we perceive to be evil has virtually nothing to do with demonstrating the good, acceptable, and perfect will of God. It is the same old sin problem. When I was saved as a young adult, I did not forget my good and evil value system, nor did I automatically overcome my ignorance about God. Even though I was now born the second time, this time from above, I was born as a spiritual infant. Again, I was a baby with a spiritual mind waiting to be enlightened upon. This time it will be the Spirit of God inscribing the word of God upon my heart. The immediate response to a newborn Christian is to try to abandon all the evil that the world taught him and do only what he now perceives according to the standard the world taught him to be good. Of course, that good may not in fact be good according to God's word. He may perceive to be good that which God's words condemn. This is revealed to him only as he imbibes the word of God with a mind to obey it. If he doesn't obey, he will, even as a Christian, always embrace the evil that he mistakenly perceives to be good, especially if all of Christendom seem to subscribe to it. That is what has happened concerning the so-called Christian holiday with all their sanctified eating tripping. But in Ephesians chapter 4, we are told to put off our former manner of life. Paul wrote,